Hey gang, welcome to another edition of Doc's Holiday Schlock, where it's a review of the movie Pet Sematary 2. This one is about a veterinarian and his son who moved to Ludlow, Maine, after the death of the boy's mother on the set of a new movie she's working on. Why on earth they want to move there, I don't remember, and should I? Well, I guess they're going there to start up a new life, and besides, it's a sequel to what many consider to be a good movie. So while they're there, Chase, the vet/dad, and Jeff, the kid, are trying to basically get things squared away and get their life together. But of course, Jeff has to meet up with the town bully named Clyde, who does nothing but give him a really hard time on everything, and he befriends the local sheriff's stepson named Gus, named Drew. Gus is the sheriff, and he's kind of a jerkwad in this movie. Anyway, after a night of going out on, I believe it was Halloween, Jeff and Drew are somewhat saved by Jeff's dog, who gets shot by Gus, in which Jeff and Drew take his dog to the pet cemetery because they hear about, anything you put in the pet cemetery, it'll come back to life. The dog comes back to life, becomes a very vicious animal, and weird things start happening, and Gus winds up dead. They put him in the pet cemetery. He comes back as sort of a zombie. He's more abusive. The town bully Clyde, same thing happens to him. Gus winds up killing him after he winds up killing off Drew and his mother during a bad car accident. And by the end of the movie, Jeff takes his mother's dead body to the pet cemetery, brings her back to life. She comes in, kills off Chase's new girlfriend, and decides it's time for everybody to reunite. But things don't quite go the way that Jeff hopes so, because the newly resurrected Clyde comes in to spoil all the fun. Gus comes up, house burns down, Jeff's mom dies in the fire, everybody dies in the fire except, of course, Jeff and Chase, where the next day they wind up taking off to Los Angeles. The movie stars Edward Furlong, who you might know from Terminator 2, Detroit Rock City, and really other really bad movies. And Anthony Edwards, who was in ER, and I don't remember much else he was in. So, why did this movie suck? This is a movie that suffers from what most critics call sequelitis. I think Siskel and Ebert started that one up, or a name similar to that. Whereas the first one, many people praised, said it was really, really good, said very, very excellent. This one, unfortunately, was filled to the hilt with really bad gore effects, god-awful one-liners, and the only thing referenced from the first one is the old house that is passed by some kids riding their bikes, and you see the mailbox. So yeah, the old house that was in part one is pretty much covered in, I think, tree limbs and grass roots and stuff like that. The really bad thing about this movie was that the movie was actually directed by the same director who did part one. Now, why on earth she came back to do part two, I couldn't tell you, but obviously there's no way that she could have seen dollar signs in her eyes thinking this movie was going to be a blockbuster, because this movie was terribly god-awful. Not tons and tons, but lots of animal cruelty. Again, the gore was pukable, and this movie was just really not all that good. And I still have yet to see part one, because everybody recommends it more than they do this one. And unfortunately, this is a movie that, after it came out on VHS years ago, my brother drove me nuts with because he watched this one multiple times, and yeah, I don't know if to this day he still likes it, but I'm sure if I were to ever get him a DVD copy, he'd probably look at me and just ask, what did I do to him? But there you guys have it, a review of Pet Sematary 2. Raise some hell. I'd rather not. In fact, I pray this is another movie series that I hope never gets rebooted or remade, but probably will one day. If you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. If you have a horror, sci-fi horror, comedy horror, fantasy horror movie that was a sequel to something good, although they tried to say that it was written by the person who brought you the first good one, and this one sucked, send it my way and I'll get on it ASAP. Thank you guys so very, very much for watching, and until next time, as always, stay strong and rock on. I think we'd go shut that window.